随着中斐关系日益密切，中国和斐济在教育方面的合作也越来越多。那么目前取得了哪些成果？未来可以在哪些领域加强合作？我们就此专访了斐济教育部助理部长伊丽萨瓦纳瓦鲁。Hello, Mr. Vanawalu. Thank you for your time today. First of all, would you like to share your comments on China-Fiji education cooperation and what the results have been achieved?
Thank you very much, Shishi. I believe the ongoing educational with the government, Fiji and China is very fruitful, especially when you talk about that scholarship that was given to us. And there is a number of students who are out there in China from Fiji undertaking that same initiative for their further studies. And the cooperation from the Fiji government is going on well. When we look at our counterpart from China, how well they have given us the privilege to come over and study. And I believe some of them already completed their study. And there are still some of them left in China, trying to complete their studies. And the partnership within the two countries we are very grateful in Fiji. When we're given the opportunity to come over, when we talk about education in Fiji, we are still underdeveloping countries. We need a lot from our counterpart like China, the big country like China, to help us out in terms of how best, when we are given the opportunity, especially for further studies in China, for the field that is not offered here at our local universities. And for that, I may say again, thank you very much for the offer and the opportunity, and hopefully that it will continue in few years to come, so that our bilateral within the two countries are stronger and stronger when you talk about education.
Are there any ongoing projects between Fiji and China?
There's a lot of projects that's undergoing. One of the main one, to our understanding, is that $300 million project, which will cover the project of the road in Invaluable. What we were told in our last sitting in Parliament, that the project will commence come December, at the end of this year, the launching part. So we are looking forward for that big project. The fund is being given by the Chinese, and the contractor are the Chinese people to come and do the road. It's quite a huge project, $300 Fiji project for tar sealing the road. Apart from other big projects from China to Fiji. So the government of Fiji are very responsive when they talk about projects. I believe there's a lot of projects that's been ongoing. We talk about our solar system, especially for the rural people. They are enjoying that. It's still continuing. When they talk about the infrastructure, especially for the road, they already mentioned that. And there are other areas like our water system. There are also projects that's been happening on that. And other areas apart from education, the one that I have just discussed.
How popular is Chinese language learning in Fiji?
For learning the Chinese language here in Fiji, I believe there is, for the University of the South Pacific, they are taking a program whereby they have engaged people who understand Chinese. I'm not sure whether they are local or from China, which they are teaching at the University of the South Pacific. On that note, the basic skills of learning Chinese language by the Fijian government are happening right now at the universities. Sometimes before those working the scholarship to come up to China, they are being asked to go through the program so they'll be part of their learning when they come to China for further studies. So currently, University of the South Pacific is undergoing that program. To answer your question, the program is going on well up till now.
Do you know there's a school named Yansan School?
Yes, that's one I remember. It's been there for quite some time. mostly our Chinese brothers and sisters. That is their school. But most of their program, it's abide by the Fiji syllabus when they talk about learning, from primary to secondary. From my understanding, they teach Chinese too, to those who are like the interested students to go through the program. And we have it from kindergarten, primary, right up to secondary level.
What do you see these Chinese language schools playing in promoting cultural exchange?
We talk about cultural exchange, and when we talk about the understanding part of this Chinese language, let me explain that we receive a lot of Chinese coming through our borders as tourists to Fiji. So part of that exercise, the government is undertaking, like there are certain areas whereby Chinese is a priority for them to, and most of them doesn't understand English. So during that exchange, there's a lot of learning within the Fiji people studying Chinese to be part of that exercise, to take the lead role in taking them like as tour guide when they come in as tourists to Fiji. There's quite a huge number of Chinese people coming from the mainland, from the cities to Fiji to enjoy their stay. They're staying in the hotels. That is one of the benefits of learning Chinese at universities, so they can engage like with our tourist industry and other areas which we see fit is best for the people of Fiji to learn Chinese in order to accommodate all those who culture. They talk about people who are visiting, people who are coming over, those who are coming as tourists, even some exchange program that's been going on with other countries. This is where it matters a lot when you understand how to talk in Chinese.
So how you ever been to China, and what are your impressions of China?
Yeah, we went to China last year. There was a team, it was about 7 of us. There's a lot of learning, eye-opener when you go to China. When you're talking about the modern world, in Fiji, we still have to walk from point A to point B. But for China, everything is very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of development, in terms of how we look at the importance of using these modern technologies, the digital era that we are in, they are really, really far ahead of us. And during that exchange program, when we went to China, we learned a lot when you talk about development, when you talk about infrastructure, when you talk about education, even your health systems. Very interesting. We even have to go to the extent to go and enjoy our trip down to the north on that bullet train. It was very fast. It was the first time for us to board the bullet train. We really enjoy our staying, our learning. Even when you talk about the exchange of culture, they're really respectful people. We admire how they do things.
So what lessons can Fiji learn from China's education?
For learning, in terms of what we can learn, we are looking forward that when you talk about our syllabus, if China can provide us with some of like our e-learning is still new to us, and we haven't got the expertise. We are looking abroad where e-learning is a must, whereby we just learn through the system. And for us, another area that we were talking about, this was part of our meeting with the Chinese embassy about having our TVET section. We need some help from China in terms of establishing some of the vocational center, because we talk about dropouts. These are the people that we need to get them back to school.
You know, Guangdong has close ties with the South Pacific. Right. So do you think what role can Guangdong play in China-based education?
We are willing to, whatever given to us, we are willing to take the cue from there. As I've said, we are really in need of all these things. When we are given the opportunity, it will be great for us to get this thing done back home here in Fiji, help our own population, the Chinese community that are here. And we're always looking forward, whatever China can offer or give it to us, Whether in terms of talk about education or other bigger project like what's happening, I already talk about it. We are always there.
You see the future, how will the youth exchange promoting China-based education relation?
For promotion, when we talk about exchange with the Chinese and Fiji, I'm optimistic. Say in 5 years' time, we should be in par. When you talk about the Chinese understand the Fijian customs, how it think, likewise the understanding of the Fijian people, how the Chinese value their culture, their upbringing, and how they value most of the time when we talk about work. So the partnership within 5 years' time there should be a lot of learning. There should be a lot of improvement. There should be a lot of look at things that we are lacking. I'm talking about support service. Because remember, we are still underdeveloped. China is quite far ahead when we talk about business, we talk about project, we talk about health-wise, we talk about education, infrastructure. From where we are now, we are not that bad. We are doing okay. When you talk about the relationship with the governments, how best they integrate with their dealings in terms of like aid, in terms of big projects happening in Fiji. We will be, in 5 years' time, we should be in the road of getting the best out from these two countries in terms of exchange, of culture, trades, and other interested parties. We talk about education, the scholarship fund, and so on and so forth.
So in what areas can two countries enhance cooperation in the future?
Currently, Fiji is working on, it's one of our main revenue-driven is the tourist industry. So when you talk about tourists, the government of Fiji now is looking at to develop the second largest island, which we call Vanuatu. We want to develop our infrastructure, develop our airports to be an international airport. We have to develop our port of entries for exchange, all these things. And we have to develop our, they call it the blue towns and the blue cities. And once that one is established by the government, when we'll be able to go down to build our tourist destination, hotels, the infrastructure, it has to be tassel the road, because this is the one that will bring in more tourists to Fiji, because currently our number one revenue earner is from the tourist. So we did support on all these things. It's not a simple project. These are major projects. International airport is nothing in Vanuatu. If you have at the international airport, that will open up the big aeroplane coming from sea, not only in Nandi, straight away to Vanuatu. Education is very interesting. Currently, when you talk about education in Fiji, most of our students are out abroad on scholarship, interns, and some are there on like work visa. So education play a very critical role in Fiji. Out of the government's budget, education have the highest budget. So we believe that once we get our education system in place, get the right resources, get the right teachers to teach them, and this is the future leaders of Fiji. That's how we value education. Like we value your support, like the Chinese government giving us scholarship. And this is things that we take it for granted, and we try to move our education to the next level. So when we talk about support from education, we really need people who can give us the extension of how we can go beyond our scope, whatever is there, to the next level, and we can't do it alone. Because remember, in Fiji, our resources are limited. So we are very grateful for the help, especially for Chinese embassy and other countries like JICA, Japan, and then give us good scholarship. Because these people, once they are well educated, they'll come back to Fiji. And when you talk about labor, a scarcity of resources, These are the very people that will lift up the standard of how we do things in Fiji. They talk about private sector, talk about governments, they talk about utilities, they talk about resources, and even we talk about our forestry and our fisheries department. We need those expertise to come back home, be part of their return on investment, come and work back home so that we can move forward.
All right, we wish China-Fiji relation will be better and better in the future.
We are always looking forward for that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.